Hello, everybody. It is another gorgeous Friday night in Washington State. How's everybody doing?
Oh, I'm good.
Carly's good.
Reading the chat now. People are loving the Command and Conquer opening remix thingy.
Yeah, we were watching the third player's stream when he was playing Forsaken, and he had this playing in the background, or it was like the intro to his theme or his show. And I remember playing this game, and this was like my favorite track. So this is
Anytime.
Tiberian Sun.
I remember when I used to volunteer for this video game radio show in Irvine. People would constantly request Command and Conquer music.
Some catchy beats.
Catchy beats, some tunes.
I was playing Metal Fatigue yesterday, just doing some testing, and the music in that game is really good as well. But it turns out that the release that we have, it's got some issue with Redbook Audio, where an entire faction's music is like on another disc, and it doesn't play. So you have to listen to basically the same faction's music for the other two, and that's kind of too bad. Let me put on a little bit more music. So I was like trying to think about what I was going to stream today, and I think what we'll do is I'm going to retopologize the virus mutant as best as I can. And yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. It's going to be primarily in Maya. But unless, there's like an overwhelming vote from everybody requesting something else, then that's probably what we'll do.
Chat has nothing to say yet,
Nothing.
but we'll see.
How's your week been?
Pretty good. Hype on this Forsaken stuff.
Yeah, we're almost done with that. We actually just got a pretty big bug report, or like a bug coming in like last minute. I'm not sure if you saw what was going on in the...
Oh yeah, that chat's been going crazy.
So a very popular YouTube reviewer was playing our game, and it's really hard. Forsaken is a very difficult game. Oh, they want me to turn up the mic volume.
Oh, where?
So he was like picking up this key that was required to move on to some objective, and he died. And when he spawned back in, the key was gone, and he couldn't pick it up, like it hadn't spawned back in the world. And so he basically had to restart the whole thing. And I hope we fixed that. I hope the guys took care of that. Mexican Swiss wants to know if we're active on the System Shock subreddit. We're not really as much as we should be. I go on there at least once a day, though, and I just kind of see what is going on, but I don't post there.
Anytime I make an account, I get shadow banned from Reddit. So I don't know what's going on. I need to figure that out. I don't use Reddit on any personal occurrence, so the only time I would go to it was for our subreddit, but I keep getting shadow banned.
Well, what kind of usernames are you putting in?
One was Carly Meow, one was Honey Dairy, one was Mamimi Meow. Very, not weird. I don't know. I have to figure it out.
Yeah, I guess I'll just kind of hop in. I don't really have that much to share outside of, like, if you hadn't seen Jonathan's stream from yesterday, I definitely recommend you watch it.
Yeah.
He gets a lot done. He shows off his workflow for using the original System Shock textures in our blockout, and it's really cool. I had a chance to. I couldn't participate really in the stream, but I did get to hop in there and see a little bit of it. How's the volume? Is this good?
Let's give it a listen.
Yeah, I put on one of my favorite.
The music seems a little loud. Because it's definitely overpowering your voice.
Ooh. Please turn it down a bit. Dude, Jonathan's setup was perfect yesterday. Like the volume and everything was great. I think he just has a way better mic. He's got a better setup than I do. It's still super loud, huh? Alright, you know what? I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna actually turn it down over here. A Forsaken Key giveaway? Ooh, right on the eve of releasing the game? I don't know, maybe we could do one, but it won't work until, well, actually, maybe it will work. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Because I think it would have to be a beta key for it to work before the release. But I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to ask Daniel.
Yeah.
Is this better? Everybody? Maybe? Is the music still super too loud? We have to do this every time. Okay, let me move my monitor. I can share this. This is personal. I just got a new toy.
Ooh, new toy.
I did.
But yeah, the music's still very loud.
Ooh, okay. I gotta remember the settings because I'm not using YouTube like I normally do. I'm using Winamp. There, is that better? This is the toy I got. It is a transformer.
Nice.
This is what I did last night when I was done from work. I played with my toy. Right.
I'm excited for my new Tamagotchi on the way.
Is it coming from Japan?
Yeah, it is. It's a Tamagotchi Mix Dreamy Purple Edition. It has a special limited character on it.
The music is still too loud. Okay. How about that? Is that better? Still too loud. Maybe I should.
What are you doing to adjust it?
I'm turning down the volume on Winamp. I wonder if I should get a better microphone because this thing isn't really meant for this. All right, I'll remember this. If I use Winamp, I gotta have it down at like 10%. Sorry about that, everybody. I apologize if I've destroyed somebody's eardrums. Okay, so let's just hop right into this. Looks like I broke this already. One sec. I probably just have this turned off from last time. Alright. ZBrush. Okay, yeah, it says it's... There we go. That's weird. So what we're gonna do, I'll just kind of quickly remind everybody before I get right into this, is this was based off the regular mutant, the humanoid mutant, and what I did is I just kind of blew out a lot of the details and increased, added some of these big shapes, and what that does to the low poly is it kind of screws it up. So if I go back down to the low poly, you can see there's really not a lot of information to support some of these larger shapes, and some of the smaller ones as well. Like the big issue right now is this ear. You can see in the low poly, it's just got this harsh chunk missing out of it. It's just kind of ugly. So if we go up the levels, you can see it coming in, but at the 5th level, or I'm sorry, at the highest level, it's clearly defined, and it looks really good. But if we were to just take this and we were to bake this down, it really wouldn't show through that well, and the silhouette would be ruined. And the real strength of this workflow and getting these characters to look this good using so few polygons is all about kind of matching up the silhouette of the character as best you can, using the least amount of polys as possible. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take probably I'll just start from the 6th subdivision level here. And he's sitting at about 8 million polys, and we're going to use this process called decimation. And it's going to look over the whole mesh, and it's going to basically crunch all the polygons down to a number that I'm going to suggest to the program. And it's going to make it small enough so that I can import it into Maya and then kind of build around that. So I'll show you that. If we go to decimation master, the first thing we have to do is pre-process current, and what that is going to do is just do some calculations. It's going to look over the whole mesh, and it's going to figure out the best way to run this operation. Essentially, it's like pre-computing. And decimation is really interesting as well. In some workflows, if you're working with something that's going to be static or it's not going to be animated or moving, you can actually use decimation master on your object and bring it all the way down to the size that, the target poly size that you need for your game, and you can actually just output that as a game ready model. It's a very, very quick workflow, and it's really good if you use like automatic projection for the UVs and you paint your stuff in something like Substance. It would work really good for like organic stuff, like rocks, trees, that type of thing. So it's still working here. It's still analyzing the mesh. So let me see if there's any good questions. Let's see. Awesome Face 980. I have a question about John's level design. The gray boxing Daniel is doing. Could you release the gray box levels with the updated textures and updated objects and stuff as a classic edition before the remaster comes out? It would have to be included with it. Because a lot of the final things that we do on the game aren't going to be like level design tweaks or changes. It's going to be systems like the inventory, animations for the characters, that type of thing. But everybody has, I guess, given their support or given, let us know how much they really like the stuff that Jonathan's doing and how cool it looks. So our goal is to include that in the final release. Doesn't ZBrush have a pretty decent auto retopology tool for animated models? I don't know if it has like, it does. There are some tools that you can use for like auto retopology. We actually did that with the humanoid mutant too. We masked out the areas that we wanted it to be retopologized, and it created a pretty good version of it that we didn't really have to mess with. So yeah, it does. I think that's actually what I use for this too, for like the lowest level. is I did, I think it's called ZRemesher, right here. And I set up the options and I got it to create mesh that I thought was clean enough for animation purposes. And yeah, that's how I did that. But stuff like this, I want to have a little more control, so I am going to bring this into Maya. Alright, so the decimation pre-process is done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of mess with these options a little bit, and we're going to try to get it down to maybe like 20,000 polys. It's just pretty aggressive, so I don't anticipate the results being that good, but let's see what happens here. Okay, yeah, that's way too much, but you can see what it does. It keeps the overall shape, but the polygons are pretty messy. Like, you couldn't animate this. But if it were a static object, it'd be great. So I'm gonna undo, and I'm gonna mess with these settings a little bit. Go like 50,000 polys, or do 0.25%. It's gonna do 40,000, right? Alright, so this is pretty good. And again, all we want is just the kind of the idea of where this stuff is. And it's only 20,000 polys. So I'm gonna export this.
He's being called waifu material.
We're going to say this as an OBJ, and we're going to call it, I don't think you can see this, but virus mutant decimated. We're going to save that. I'm going to switch over to Maya really quick here.
Be right back.
Let's see if it works. I just messed with some settings in Maya, so I might have to. There we go. Move that over. Do. Let's see. This is a mess. Virus mutant. OBJ. Let's bring in the decimated model. Woohoo! There he is. And the scale is kind of crazy. So let me fix that. Switch this to meter. Alright, that's good. Okay, let's import the... What I want to do is create a layer, but the last time I was using this, I kind of screwed up the shelf here. One sec. I think it's a window attribute editor. Oh, it's already there. Channel box. There we go. This is important. I'm gonna create a layer. Call it decimated. I can add him to the layer, and then I can turn it into like a reference layer so that I can't click on him, which is helpful with retopologizing. So we're going to import the, I think the virus mutant underscore low is the mesh that we actually want to use for in the game. So this is what it looks like, and what we'll be kind of changing in here. There's some other things we want to do too, like clean up the eyes. Probably remove some of the polygons from here. Maybe I might want to leave it pretty heavy, because the heavier it is, the more like jiggly we could get it to look when it's animated.
What you drinking? I'm behind on the stream, so.
This is sun tea.
Sun tea.
So, let's see here. We can actually use this as like a target mesh. Let's unhide him. I'm gonna make another layer so it's easy to see these two. Let's call this guy low. And add him. I think what we'll do is I'm gonna create a custom material for this guy so that he stands out. So let's go to the hypershade. There it is. And
So Kane wants to know who's going to be the mocap actor for this guy.
oh, I don't know. Not sure if we're gonna use mocap. Probably not.
That would be unnecessary, I feel.
Yeah. Though it's kind of it's getting cheaper
Is
to
it?
do.
I remember the studio I used to work for would do mocap in the middle of the dining area. So we would all be watching from tech support. It was very distracting.
That's kind of fun though.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Alright. So now you can kind of clearly see where the silhouette is not as refined as it needs to be. And it's like around here, around the ear. Let's see if there's anywhere else. The arms are perfect because I didn't really change them. His area looks good. This could probably use a little bit of work. It's mostly up around his head, of course, because that's where it was kind of messed up the most. So, I mean, the lips are okay. So I think I'll do. I think I'm gonna hide the low poly mesh. I'm gonna make this guy solid red. And then I'm going to, if I can figure this out again. I know I did this for another stream, but I forget how I managed to do this. If we do quad draw, where is it? Let me experiment here and see if this works. I think it may work. Oh. I remember this being kind of stupid easy when I figured it out. Let me turn this off reference. I think if I just select them. Okay, that's not what I want. Oh, I remember. I forgot. They changed this in this version of Maya. So what you have to do is you have to make this guy live. Snap to grid, blah blah blah. Let's see. Make the object live. Alright, so we make him live. And then if we do quad draw, now we can draw on him. Here we go. So now I can create polys right on top of this mesh. I think what we'll do is I'm gonna like build the area around his ear here, and then we're just gonna like blend it in with the low poly mesh. to start with like a ring of polys around here. Just kind of bring it in. And so when this is done, what I'll do is I'll bring that low poly mesh with it nicely retopologized back into ZBrush, and I will replace the low res version in there, and I will reproject all this nice high res detail on there. So let's see. To make this a little easier too, we can actually, I think we can turn this transparent? Oh, that's not gonna work. Reference. Yeah, that's not really helping that much. Yours are always kind of a pain in the butt. So let's see. Probably should have left a little more detail. Back when I first started using Maya, I really couldn't handle high polygon meshes very well. It would just like kind of die under its own weight, just kind of collapse. But and that was regardless really of like how much memory you had. But now it's can handle quite a bit of detail. So maybe I should re-export like a little bit higher res version of this decimated model so I have a better idea of what I'm looking at here. Because it can be kind of hard to pick out the shapes and stuff that you want. Got like the ring of the ear. Pretty much figured out. You could also throw in a couple more edge loops, like if I hold control here and just insert it, I'll put in another ring.
Did you see this question? I'm sorry. Why are you using such relatively low poly mesh as your target for retopology? Wouldn't it be beneficial to have a higher polygon mesh to preserve the silhouette better?
Yeah, I just said that actually. I was like, maybe I should switch this out, which I will. I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
So I'm just going to hide this. But look, there's the ear. All right, let me switch to ZBrush really quick. And I'll just export this. Let's see. Let me do. Okay, so that's what we were using. So we'll go be a little more generous. Let's do like 0.5. Yeah, that's a lot better, but it's still a little low. Let's push Maya. Let's see if we can go a little bit further. let's try this. So let's import that new mesh. There it is. So I'm gonna delete. I'm gonna delete this one. If I can select it. Oh, you know what? I can't because it's live. There we go.
Man, his face looks so messed up.
What's that?
His face looks so messed up. Like, it's so gross.
Let's see. Okay, it's starting to act a little funky. I'm gonna make this guy live. And I'm gonna save because it's starting to act a little weird, of course. I think I'm gonna apply that texture, or I'm sorry, that material, so I can see him a little bit better here. There we go. That's a lot. I mean, there's more resolution there. Again, the problem that I was having is I couldn't get enough res in this area, which is why we're kind of doing this to begin with.
So how far along are you on this guy anyhow until he's finished?
Until he's finished?
Yeah.
I
I guess finished enough to be put in and get animations and what all, you know?
He's gonna need a lot of work. Like I have to finish this retopologizing him, and then I have to unwrap him, which is another whole thing. I gotta kind of relearn how to do that because everything's changed so much since the last time I did it. I mean, this should be good. If I bring this back into ZBrush and reproject, it should, a lot of that detail should be preserved. So
No, Penguin says 2 years per enemy, at least.
2 years per enemy, yeah. That'd be bad. Alright, anyways, let's just... I really probably shouldn't be worrying about this much detail into his ear. Not even gonna really see it, probably. Perplexed that it's not showing me as much as I'm used to seeing here.
chat seems to hate unwrapping. They say it's the worst.
Unwrapping?
Yeah.
It's certainly kind of like the most boring thing. Some people really like it. I mean, it's gotten a lot easier over the years. When I first started 3D, it was definitely the most challenging thing for me to wrap my head around. Sorry.
Wow.
Oops. I think if what do I do here to delete this point? I can't remember.
I'm gonna have to pop out early, guys. Sorry. But I might come back in the chat. I feel bad for abandoning.
They're just gonna have to deal with me ignoring them because I'm gonna be kind of wrapped up in this.
Just keep doing more puns.
More puns.
Hopefully I'll come back. Hopefully.
Okay, if not, no worries. Thanks for joining us.
Right. Bye, guys.
You're right, this isn't Star Citizen, but you know what? If somebody looks inside this guy's ear and they go, man, what a bad artist, I will be heartbroken. So, let's do this. Let's make... something up with this layer, I can't. Like I can't right click on these anymore for some reason. That's really strange. So I'm just gonna make a new layer. Let's see if I can. No? What the heck is going on? So this is always fun when Maya decides to just kind of stop working. I'm gonna just restart Maya really quick. How much of a horror tone is the remake going to have? Well, the music is definitely not going to be as atmospheric as it was in the Unity demo. It's going to be more kind of in line with the original, so that'll be kind of a big change. Oh my goodness, why is this not working? But the overall tone is going to be still pretty horrific. Yeah, the right-click Maya plugin. Thank you. Oh, see, look, and now it works. I mean, you can't. Of course, you can't see it, so you can't understand my frustration here. But I can delete this layer. All right. Okay, so now that we've got this, kind of piece this together. Oh my god. I'm going to... Oh boy. Pen some polys. This is the thing that drives me crazy about whenever they do any new updates for this program. They change the icons all the time. I have no idea what anything is anymore. Alright, so I've got that connected. Two triangles in there, which isn't so bad. Stop messing with this thing. Okay, so let's bring in the low poly. I'll hide this. This looks pretty good. I can delete the history, and then do the opposite of what I wanted because I don't know what the icons look like anymore. We go to mesh display, and let's soften the edges so it's a little bit nicer. And we will fill in these two holes here with the pen polygon tool. I'll soften that again. Okay, so bring in the low. You can see how this isn't really gonna not really gonna mesh up that well. So what I think I'll do is I'm gonna delete this outer ring, and then I'm gonna delete these pieces from the original. So I should probably put the. Oops. Delete that. It's driving me nuts. Alright. Let's name this here. And we'll hide it just to make sure there's nothing hiding back there. Alright. I need to remake my shelf up here. I think this is part of the problem. This is like my toolbar where I've got all my custom commands for the stuff that I want to run. And a lot of this is just useless, like all these UV commands. I've got my own shelf up here, but it's gone for some reason. So let's just keep struggling here. Unhide the ear. So the first thing I'm going to do is thank you for the bits. Why use squares over triangles? When you're animating, it's kind of hard to explain, but you want to create what's called edge loops, which are these nice lines going across the mesh here. So like around this area that's going to deform and it's going to bend like a real arm. If you have triangles in there, what ends up happening is it gets pinched, and it looks really weird, and it doesn't animate properly. I've done like a lot of rigging and a little bit of animating in the past, and it's just kind of a general no. You don't want to have like just triangles in areas that are going to deform. You can see this area right here is actually pretty nasty. It comes to this harsh point, even though there's still squares, there's still polygons. This area right here is going to be kind of nasty when it deforms. It's going to kind of bend and it's going to crease right around this hard edge. So this will be another area where I'll want to create some nice even kind of topology over here so that it looks natural when it moves. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this here. But before I kind of combine the two, I'm going to switch this to wireframe on shaded so I can see what I'm doing. And then I can select these vertices, and by holding down V and moving them, I can kind of snap them to the other mesh, to other verts. So I'm going to do that. And what this is going to allow me to do is kind of figure out how this thing is going to connect to the other mesh. So let's see. This one here. Move this out a bit. This one can go here. Probably going to want this one to go closer to here. In this case, where there's not a vert that can line up there, I can use multi-cut, which will allow me to select a vertice and then an edge, and then hit enter, and I can create a cut. And then I can go back into that mode, hit V, and kind of move it to that area. Oops. So you can see I've retopologized that one problem area that we were having, and I've found a way to kind of weld it back into the main shape. It's not very clean. It's not looking like really pretty. But after I've got it on there, I can kind of move some stuff around and get it to kind of play nice and just look a little bit better. But once we've reprojected some of the detail onto that ear, I'll end up going back, I'm sure, and changing it around. So in order to get this to stay like this and be one object, you select them both, and then there's a command called combine. So now it's just one object. But then you need to go in and select where the vertices are overlapping here. You can see it's still not really connected, and you need to weld them. So you can kind of select the whole area there, or just the verts that are part of that connection. Let's see. That perimeter there. Just make sure there's nothing else selected. And then there's a merge command. But this is great because when I hit this, it's not working. All right, here we go. Edit mesh. Why isn't this working? Oh my god. It's giving me some problems. I don't know if this has to do with Streamlabs OBS or what, but like I'm trying to select a thing up here. You can see me doing it, and the menu's not coming down. It's just wonderful. And only for the one that I need, of course. What the hell? Alright, so I'm gonna use this other tool because Maya is acting crazy. It's called target weld, and it's not gonna look like I'm doing anything. But this should be welding. Come on, what the heck? I wonder if it'll work with the mouse. No? It's the weirdest thing. Let's try it again. Target weld. Okay, that worked. This thing is just not liking me today. There we go. You can kind of see how that works. Maybe I can illustrate it a little bit better here if, yeah. I might have to actually, because this is not working the way that it should be, and it's kind of annoying. So I'm actually gonna, some of these it actually worked. So I'm gonna move them away from each other. Look at that. So now it's working. I guess there just has to be some distance between them. Usually, when you do this, they can they can overlap. But I guess it's just not having that today. All right. So now it's on there. We can kind of get this to match up with this guy a little bit more. Turn off wireframe and shading. Select him. I'll make him live. And then if we we can basically turn this into the quad draw mesh here, which I used to retopologize it to begin with. This whole thing. And now when we move this around, it'll line up with the silhouette of the original. So we can kind of blend that in, make it a little bit nicer. So yeah, we fixed the ear. Took 10 times longer than I thought it was, but looks good. Silver Dogs. How hard would it be to make System Shock Remastered Xbox Play Anywhere compatible? Will it be playable in Jello? Yeah, Sir Kane, you've hit it right in the head. Multi-$1,000 software. Maya has always been kind of a pain to use. It's just fickle. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. I was having a major problem with it earlier where the scaling was all messed up because this monitor over here is 4K and then this one is like 1600 by 1200, and that's just a result of this Cintiq being a little bit older. And I just fixed that problem, but now it's like, oh, this menu is not working for some reason. And I know you can't see in Streamlabs, but every single other one, it comes down except for this one. So I might actually just destroy my preferences and start over, which was actually a common thing back when I was in school. It's like if you were having problems with Maya, your preferences might have been corrupted, and you would just basically delete them and then create all your preferences all over again, which includes like your custom shelf and anything else that you changed from the default settings. To get back to what Silver Dog was asking, I'm not exactly sure what Play Anywhere compatible is for Xbox. Does that mean you can play it on through the Windows Store as well, since it's both Microsoft? As a fan of the original who isn't bothered by the older graphics or UI, why should I be interested in your remake? I read that question out loud before reading it. Why should you be interested in the remake? It's going to be, if you really love the original, it's going to be everything that you love about it and more. I don't know if you've taken a look at any of the screenshots or any of that, or checked out any of the other dev streams that we've been participating in. But I like to think of it as what we're doing is we're creating the game the way that you remember it if you had played it when it first came out. So we all have, you know, these rose-tinted glasses when we think about the games that we enjoyed as kids or in the past, and they looked and they felt fresh and amazing and, you know, cutting edge in terms of their visuals and their gameplay and everything else. And you know, when you go back to System Shock 1, it's just it doesn't live up to those memories that I personally had, and so it just seemed like the perfect candidate for the work that we're doing on now. And I think that when you do play it, you're gonna get those same feelings again as like when you played System Shock for the first time, even though it's in an authentic sense it's the same game. And so that's really, I think, what we're aiming for, is that anybody whose original experience with the game was as incredible as it was for us, when you try it again or when you play it this version for the first time, you're gonna have those same feelings. And if we can do that, then I feel like we've done our job. Yeah. Okay. So Xbox Play Anywhere is where you can play it through both Microsoft Store. Yeah, we did that for Turok, I believe. I have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that if you buy Turok 1 or 2 on Xbox, you can also play it on the Play Store. A lot of variety within each enemy type. Yeah, we're gonna take pretty much a page out of Doom's design book, and you know what was capable in the original. But basically, there's gonna be a very distinct enemy type for each enemy, and each one is you're gonna have to take special considerations in combat. Like in the original, one of the cool things about it was the types of ammo that you'd have for your weapons. So, you know, for instance, you'd have armor-piercing rounds. You'd have dart gun with different tranquilizers, that type of thing. You can't use the dart gun against machine enemies, but you can use it against organic. And so, kind of like in a roundabout way, in Doom, you've got, you know, your ranged enemies, and you've got your melee class, and you've got the kind that will just fly straight at you. You've even got some hit scan enemies, and so having that variety is just gonna, and the way that you use them in combination with one another is really what makes each kind of action set piece kind of exciting. Is you can't just use the same technique every time you encounter groups of different enemies. You have to be aware of you know, their patterns, what they can hit you with, and what you can fight back with. Will there be cosmetic variations of enemies? Yeah, to some degree. Like for the humanoid mutant, just as an example, like the clothing that he wears will be ripped and torn in different places to make it look like they were different crew members, stuff like that. Let me see if I can kind of get back into this. But I'm gonna queue up my next track. So this is kind of coming to an end here. I've got this one track that I hope you guys like. It's by the Kabi Collective, and it's called Interworld. Really good. So let me take a look at some of these other areas that need a little bit of love. I know the eyes need some work, quite a bit actually. Might just delete all the polys around here and just rebuild that. And this is gonna be a pain in the ass. This is the thing with this particular character is he's got all these like overhanging crevices and stuff, which is kind of up the difficulty level when it comes to this stuff. So I'm gonna go into quad draw here and move some of this stuff around. Yeah, different ammo for weapons, just like in SS2. It's very similar in SS1. There's different ammo. Trouble to rebuild it, or just move some of these polys. Way to just delete these polys, but let's see. Delete all this in here, rebuild it, and this too. Just make sure nothing else is selected. Will you be able to pop the mutant sacks to cause splash damage? That's the idea. That's part of the design of this guy. And he's got these big, I mean, it's kind of like a cliched game design thing, right? You've got like these, these like glowing orbs on him that you can shoot to do more damage. So this is kind of the same principle that we were working on with the ear, is I've kind of rebuilt the whole eye area, and now we have to get it to kind of play nice with the rest of the mesh. So what we'll do is, because there's more subdivisions going around this this edge loop, we'll add some more triangles so it can kind of connect to it. Awkward looking polygon. So this topology is kind of messy, but unfortunately it's kind of have to rebuild it because the program didn't really do a great job of creating like closed edge loops. What it did was it created spirals, which like here, let me illustrate it really quick. If I select an edge loop here, like maybe this one. Okay, so this is a good example. This is what I want. I want it to be like a self-contained edge loop, like that or like that. But what the program did is it did stuff like this, where the loop goes literally all the way down the butt crack, around the butt, created kind of like a weird thong. Just gonna say it. That's what the edge loop did from the program, and it's not really what you want with this particular character. It's like it's okay because it's kind of a mess anyways, but you still want edge loops around the mouth so he can like move his mouth around when he's like screaming and stuff. So I don't know, I'm looking at this more and more. I'm like, maybe I should just retopologize. I mean, I'm gonna have to do a lot more than that. And then I'm not sure how this happened. I might have done this by accident, but there's this edge loop right here. Yeah, I think I did that. Oh, that's bad. See, that one goes all the way down to his foot. Wait, did I just... I might have just done this by accident, actually, when I was... Maybe not. Alright, well, I'll fix that later. But with the eye, this is okay. Like if I go in here, if I select this edge looper that I created, and then I use extrude, and pull those polys back. Actually, I'll do this. Like this. I can kind of create the back of the eye here. So I'm gonna do, let's see, this, and then I'm gonna extrude again, and bring that back, and basically just kind of close it, and then that'll be good for that eye, because when the eyeball's in there, when the sphere is in there, it'll take up all that space, and then you will never see in the back of that. Then what we gotta do is we have to merge all this. So I'll just select all these. So that one's not selected. I'm gonna turn off the live surface here. There's 20 vertices right there, and they all need to be merged into one. So I think if I go to, this isn't working. This edge mesh, edit mesh thing, and it's got the oh, it's got the merge command in there. Let me try restarting this one more time. Save it, close it, start it one more time. Yeah, the edit mesh works now. Okay, that's good. Mesh. Merge. There we go. So now there's one vert there. Alright. The eye, that looks good. I am gonna have to go back in here and clean up a lot of this though, because it is kind of garbage. Like even this, I can just clean up that loop. Yeah, this is, oof, God, this is bad. So at least that area will animate nicely. I hope. I mean, all in all, it's really not bad. It just needs to be cleaned up quite a bit. Like this loop right here, it'd be nice if this came around like this and went underneath, which it kind of does. This guy, make this live. I think we could probably just like this. Quad draw again. Now we can, I mean, you can see how just by moving these verts a little bit, we can get it to kind of adjust to the silhouette a little bit nicer. Oh, that didn't work. Sometimes it can get confused and like it'll snap to a vert on the back of the head or something like that, so you just have to kind of watch out for that. But But yeah, even like this, like the way that this particular shape comes down, could have really benefited from an edge loop. I'm gonna think about real hard about how I want to approach this, because like it's gonna be a lot of work to redo a lot of it, but it's almost kind of necessary at this point, just to ensure that it's as good as it can be. Like, see if we can at least reshape this a little bit. So let's. Yeah, and by the way, like retopologizing inside of a mouth, this sucks. Having to do this. I'll probably end up deleting a lot of that because it's just unnecessary. I'll do the same thing that I did like with the eye, where I'll pull it back and create an eye hole. Or what they'll call it is, sometimes it's referred to as a pouch, like a mouth pouch. It's basically, or like a mouth bag. Just throw it back there and give it a little bit of UV coordinate space and you're good. So this is, because I created these verts not based on the other mesh, and I just kind of pulled them back. They are trying to find a place to grab on, so let's see. So bit by bit, this is getting a little bit better, a little bit nicer. I'm wondering if what I'm going to end up doing is basically just starting from here and then just deleting all these polys around the outside. And just rebuilding this thing. Because the nose is even kind of messed up. You can see this right here. There's not enough polygons to create that shape, and it's just kind of warped. So, I mean, I guess that's the next place to go. Let me, I'm just gonna delete these polys. Brick. Let's see what happens. I'm actually gonna hide this. Do the kind of the same thing I did with the with the ear. Quadra. Alright, so let's just start from scratch here. Quad strip width. Kind of wanted to like pop out a little bit more. I don't remember it being so difficult to see exactly where you were putting your points. So I tried to fill that. I don't know why I didn't do it, but let's just we can use the pen poly tool here and just fill that hole. But that is a pretty nice shape there. So if we you can kind of see, I was a little bit off the mark in terms of where I was rebuilding it, but it shouldn't be too hard to fix. Just gonna go over like one more length there. So we will go go back into the quad draw here and we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then if we just drag this up, create that nice row of polys for us. And we'll kind of pull these over a little bit to start suggesting that this shape is going to go in this direction. Kind of follow the contours of this, it's like growth on his face right here. Do this. Add a subdivision there. And just start having it kind of, again, kind of following this curve. See how this would kind of fit in there. Again, I'm not even sure if this is going to be like even more work than it's worth at this point to just be doing these patch jobs and kind of cleaning it up, or if I should just kind of start from scratch and, you know, do the whole body. I mean, luckily I don't have to do the arms because those were retopologized earlier. But there's some problem areas again, like I was saying, like around here. I may end up just bringing in the humanoid mutant model because there's UVs still on that stuff, which is really useful. And for whatever reason, when I started messing with this guy, oops, I definitely don't want to do that. Shh. It seems like his UVs kind of disappeared. If I go to the UV editor, there's no UVs left. I'm not sure if you can see this. I don't think you can, but there's, yeah. So I might just kind of nuke that, but I do need to clean this up still. So maybe I'll do that right now. I think I did that by accident. I'm actually 100% sure I did that by accident, so I'm just going to delete this. Remember the stupid icon. There we go. So let's put this in the face anyways. We'll kind of match it up. Probably like another 20 minutes here. Looks like I can delete. good. Like that. And then let's see about fitting this in. We will smooth this. Looks like I missed a face in there. Just to make sure I am going to. Come on. There we go. Hide this. Make sure there's nothing left. There's that wonderful ear we did earlier. This back in. It's getting really warm in my office. I think I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit. here, and then I'm gonna call it a night. I need to really figure out if this is how I want this to go. Because I'm not really happy with this mesh now that I look at it. I mean, it's gonna work, but again, it's just kind of patchy. I mean, it's gonna take a lot of massaging to kind of get it fitting in there, but that's essentially how we want this is kind of what we want this to end up being. It's just a little more detailed in some places, a little more topology, just to give some of these bigger shapes something to define. Like, this is a big problem too, actually, now that I look at it. This ear area. But, I mean, it's just going to take work, right? That's what this is. It's a complicated character. He's very, very squiggly. Let me save this. And one second. I'll be right back.
Explore the areas opened by the space age. I think they must develop techniques quite as new and definite as the techniques of physical space travel.
Whew, okay, well, kind of gotten a taste of what retopologizing is like. It is very tedious. It can be confusing. It can get aggravating. But it has to be done. I'm sure that someday someone is going to create some kind of some kind of algorithm that'll make this thing of the past. That'll be a great day. Does anybody have any other questions that I can kind of I can focus on and I can answer? Open up the other character really quick. See what this looks like. So you can see this particular character, I had done the retopologizing on. His armpits are really nice. You can see these edge loops here. And then, yeah, he's got perfect edge loops around his mouth, around his nose, around his eyes. So this is really kind of like the benchmark for what we want to do. I mean, his ears are very simple too. So yeah, I think I might want to go back. I'll probably import this guy. Into that other scene, and I'll like chop off his arms and his legs, and I think I'll probably just retopologize the other guy's torso and his head. And I'll give him the same teeth, probably the same eyes. I'll just throw them in there. Let's see. Yeah, you can see, I'm not sure, I might have to show this, let's see. Might take a second. UV editor, there it is. You can see that his UVs are really nice as well. And they exist for his legs and his arms and his hands and his feet and everything. So when I do decide to reuse this, all this information will come with it, and I can save a lot of work. So, alright, well, I don't really see that many questions, so thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I get to show you all the nitty-gritty about how all this stuff works. It's not often very glamorous. I think that the most fun that we have is when we're in Substance and we're painting and texturing. It's like the final step, and you get to see the most results done quickly. I know I've been talking about doing this and having it ready to be textured for the next stream, but with the upcoming launch of Forsaken on the 31st and everything else that's going on in Nightdive, it's been kind of hard to find time to do the art stuff. But luckily, I mean, my role on the team as an artist and just as a developer is very much more relaxed than you know, Chris and Jonathan and Matt. I mean, they're working on this full time, and because characters aren't that big of a push for the milestone that we're currently working on, I can kind of take my time with this stuff, which is great. But we are going to most likely be bringing on another character artist in the future that can help out and you know, take advantage of some of the latest techniques and stuff and speed, I'm sure, that any artist who's been actively developing will have over me. So yeah, thanks everybody. Again, I really appreciate you coming to hang out, and see you next time.